Okay, thanks everyone for joining today. My name is Ron Bro with TopStep. I will be walking through a slide deck talking about OpenAirs Mobile App and some best practices that we've seen in the market. I have muted everyone on the call. We will unmute the call at the end of the session and certainly, hopefully, answer any questions you might have. So let's go ahead and get started. So a couple of events coming up for TopStep. Of course, you can always check our calendar on our website and as well as subscribe to our newsletter. But obviously, we have our session today. We will be in Minneapolis, Minnesota tomorrow for our OpenAir user group. So if you happen to be in that part of the country, feel free to let us know, and we can set you up to join our user group there. We'll also be sponsoring a couple of events coming up in October. So if anyone is going to be out in Las Vegas for the Technology Service World or in the Washington, D.C. area for the IMG conference, please feel free to stop by and say hi to us. So today's twofold webinar. One is talking about just mobile apps in general, especially obviously with OpenAirs app, and then I'm going to kind of walk through the OpenAir app and some of the pros and cons and some of the ways we've seen it work. As far as mobile apps in general, what we've seen is, they're not for every organization. So it really depends on what type of organization are you, what type of workers, what does your PS group look like, what do the projects look like, can really determine whether or not you want to introduce the concept of mobile apps into your organization. So if you've got folks traveling all over the place, working and living on airplanes, certainly mobile apps can be a huge benefit. They can really keep your resources connected. They can make sure that they're getting their information entered into the system real time. So they can be really beneficial. Obviously, mobile apps are not, even though mobile apps may be a good fit for the organization, not every user will adopt them. So obviously we recommend, mobile apps are nice to have, but not a requirement for folks. I travel extensively for TopStep, and I actually prefer just logging into OpenAir directly versus using the mobile app. But again, that's my preference. But there are benefits to mobile apps that we see a lot of organizations benefit from. But there could be downsides to mobile apps. Again, something to consider as you are looking at the mobile app and trying to determine if it's a good fit. Again, what type of travel volume are you experiencing, and what kind of time and expense complexity do you have? And what I mean by time and expense complexity is, if your projects are long and people are working on a single project over a long period of time entry is not that complicated, then mobile apps may not be a huge benefit. But if you're working on lots of projects, short-term projects, time accuracy is a challenge, then mobile apps can be very beneficial. It gives you the opportunity, as well as if there's travel, get that information in as soon as possible. Another thing to consider as you are looking at mobile apps is, be prepared to be able to support mobile apps. And there will be issues that will come up, and this is not just OpenAir mobile apps, this is all mobile apps. Inevitably there's going to be data sync issues. Somebody's going to say, I can't see this on my mobile app, and I should. There's also going to be user errors where someone overrode maybe a record in the mobile app and deleted something in OpenAir, and now they can't find it. So you're going to get a whole new crop of questions and folks looking for help, while they're getting used to, especially the beginning of the usage of mobile apps, as well as mobile apps become more and more part of the organization. So you need to be prepared to be able to support mobile apps and be able to answer these questions and work with your users. One of the, some of the bigger concerns I've had with organizations where they introduce mobile apps but they don't have a plan to support them, which gets your users get frustrated, and it's not fair to everyone. So be prepared to be able to have a support structure in place. And this is part of the question: is mobile apps right for your organization? Be prepared to answer that question and be able to make the right decision. With regards to OpenAirs Mobile App, I'm going to talk about 3 different components of the mobile app. So time cards, timesheets, expenses, and when I say project management, I'm really referring to the approval of project expenses and time within the mobile app. So when you log into the mobile app, open up the mobile app, you're going to see a dashboard. And so there's a number of highlights I want to point out. Obviously, you're going to see any open timesheets or expenses, any rejected, submitted, also your approved timesheets and expenses. So you'll be able to see that information here in the dashboard. You can also go in and click to change any settings, and we're going to walk through some of the settings that's important to understand by clicking on the little wheel at the top of the dashboard. And at the bottom of the dashboard, they have the synchronization of icon that you can go in and force synchronization. We're going to talk a little bit about synchronization and some of the issues that pop up. So changing the settings. So if you click on the settings, a couple of things, obviously the login settings are critical, at least at the first set. Going in and setting up your OpenAir login credentials so you can access the OpenAir account. Determining what time entry units. I think the default is 15 minutes. It should match whatever the default is inside of your OpenAir system if you have one. The refresh all data, again, really important. If you're ready to go ahead and start over, refresh your data between OpenAir and your mobile app. And then determining conflict resolution. If you make changes directly in OpenAir, which is what's referred to in here as the web, does that override the mobile, or does the mobile override the web? So again, this is user-specific type of conflict resolution that needs to be set to make sure you are using if you're making changes in one system or another, understanding. And this is where you'll see a lot of potential issues, right, where someone will potentially create a timesheet, but they'll, not update it, or it will get overridden by either the web or the mobile app, and then you get a lot of confusion as to what happens. So this is one of those places where it's important to have your end users trained and understanding is what's the master and what's the slave as far as timesheet data as well as expense data. And then you have the about, making sure that you're using the most up-to-date version and other information about the mobile app. So synchronizing the data. So when you synchronize the data, it's not just timesheets and expense reports that get synced, right? It's got to sync all the clients, projects, tasks that the user has access to. So it will follow the same permissions that you have inside of OpenAir. So it only sync those projects, clients, and tasks that you have access to if you log in through the UI. So if information's missing in the mobile app, then more than likely it's also missing when you log in directly into OpenAir. So permissions and filter sets need to be make sure they are followed with the mobile app the same as they are. So you'll notice when you do a sync, if you manually are syncing data, you'll see what's being synced down in the bottom portion of the dashboard. You will occasionally get some sort of a sync state issue that you may need to pay attention to, and this can be a real-time. So when you make a change and save it, there's a real-time sync that will automatically happen that will go back and update OpenAir from the app. Obviously, you can force a sync like we showed in the earlier You can also work offline as well. So when you have pending, it means you were working offline. So if you're on an airplane, you don't have Wi-Fi or cell service, and you're updating your timesheet, your sync will sit in a pending state waiting for your phone to get reconnected through the internet or through cellular service. If you have a question mark shows up, it means there was a failure in the sync. So something, for example, happened, your connection dropped or something other issue. And then occasionally you'll also get sync conflicts where your conflict resolution has been applied. So this is where you're setting which system overrides, whether the mobile overrides OpenAir or vice versa. And so the sync will show you that there was a conflict, that it was, and your application of your sync conflict happened. So with timesheets, within the mobile app, you can create timesheets, net new. You can edit timesheets. You can submit timesheets. And when you sync a submitted timesheet, it will follow the approval process set forth in OpenAir. So that works really well with regards to making sure the timesheet processes are adhered to using the mobile app as same as if you were logging in directly into the user interface. For expense reports, same applies. You can update, create, update expense reports. You can submit expense reports and kick off the approval process inside of OpenAir. Timesheets and expense reports, look similar. They have a header, and then they have details you can go in and add. There are configuration options inside of OpenAir that are respected within the mobile app. For example, if you have a one project per expense report switch enabled in your account that forces a user to apply an expense report to a single project, then that will show up inside of the mobile app and give you the ability to choose the project inside the header. There's also some other configuration options I'll point out that are also respected. Custom fields are respected as well. Obviously, once you create your expense report, going in and creating your expense items, going in choosing the details to create all the different receipts, send whether they're billable or not billable, whether they're reimbursable or not reimbursable. This is all part of the standard expense creation process. A couple of things you can do that I actually find really beneficial when doing expenses remote is being able to create the expense report and then sync up images from the receipts. So being able to attach receipts to the expense report, the expense lines, by using your smartphone and taking a picture of the receipts, which would then get uploaded into the expense report, and those expense attachments will then show up in OpenAir as attachments to the expense report. So this is this is one of the great benefits of using the mobile app specifically with expenses. It allows you to be able to manage your attachments much more efficiently than collecting them and having to come back and scan them. One thing to think through, though, if you are rolling this out for expenses is you're taking a snapshot of an expense receipt and uploading it into OpenAir. Those expense receipts take up a good amount of storage inside your OpenAir account. So be aware that you may at some point exceed your storage limits inside of OpenAir. Now there's ways to clear out your expense attachments using in bulk, but be aware that that could run into an issue. Taking a picture of an attachment is a larger file than if you just scanned it on the scanner and uploaded it directly to your expense report inside of OpenAir. Project management. So I get this get this question a lot from customers, like, hey, can people approve on the expense report? Can you approve expense report in time via the mobile app? And it's not obvious that they can do it. And I'm be honest with you, and I'm look for someone's help when I unmute the phones. Is I know that this is available inside of the iPhone app. I'm not 100% sure you can do this inside of the Android app. But to give people permission to approve timesheets, you first have to check a box on their user record inside of OpenAir. So under timesheet options as well as expense options, there is a checkbox that allows them to enable approvals within the mobile app for timesheets. So this gives you the ability to control is, do you want approvals to occur inside the mobile app, or do you want to force all approvals to happen directly within OpenAir? And it is set on a user-by-user basis, so you can set this organizationally or you can set this based on the different users. But without this checkbox checked on the user's record, they will not be able to participate in approval process inside the mobile app. If they are able to approve time or expenses, there is a couple of different options. They have a bulk approval, which allows them to expose ability to select one or many of the expense reports that they're going to approve. So again, this may be very beneficial, or you may deem this is not very beneficial. Again, something to consider as you're rolling out this app. If you are looking at individual timesheets, you can then go through the whole process of approving those or rejecting those. Also, for both time and expenses, if you are using line item rejection, the mobile app will support line item rejection within. So if you're just choosing not only just approving or rejecting the entire timesheet or the entire expense report, there is the ability to line item reject or approve different lines within the timesheet and expense report. So in summary, be aware of the mobile app question's going to come up within your organization. Be prepared to be able to answer the question. Be prepared to be able to support the mobile app with your customers, which are going to be your PS employees. Understand what best practices you want to have. Understand what approvals you want to allow, and be able to support that support structure, because inevitably you're going to get questions and there are going to be issues regarding the use of the mobile app. So shameless plug, everyone on the call hopefully is familiar with our organization, TopStep. We work with OpenAir customers all over the world. And again, if you want more information, you can visit our website and sign up for our weekly newsletters. You can follow us at our tweets as well as our LinkedIn groups and Facebook.